Hi, Ms. R here with a watercolor still life. So when I was in school, I was really into doing some watercolors, and what started us off was an apple project. So because I haven't been watercolor painting in a really long time, I thought I'd go back to the basics. So I'm going to draw and paint this specific apple. So in my setup, you'll see it's right next to my workstation, but I want to give you a close-up image of what it looks like from my point of view. So first things first, I gotta kind of draw an outline. I'm gonna first look at the shape of the apple, and then I'll try to look at more like a form, so a 3D shape, which will later on with the color will be easier because I'm adding value. But I'm gonna first try to really see it on the paper in the form of an apple. I guess I just really couldn't find it quite yet, so I had to start over. Sometimes it happens. So looking at the shape, when we draw apples or fruit, we tend to try to draw the same shape, but I'm trying to draw a still life. It has to look exactly like what I'm looking at. So I'm looking at the curves of the apple, I'm looking at the outline shape that I'm seeing, all the little curves that are not normally part of a circle, little parts that taper together, making more of like a cone shape, or even like the extra little curves here and there that make it a weird wonky organic shape. And as you could see, I really drew light at the beginning until I really started to like the shape that I had, and then my lines started to get darker. That's something I naturally do as an artist, and some artists do as well. Some people go straight hard, but you know, then it's really hard to erase. Just erasing all the other lines that I didn't really like. And then I fully erase over it with a eraser really lightly just to get most of that dark graphite off, but there's enough lines there for me to see. And then it's time to do the painting. I'm just grabbing my professional watercolor paints, which are kind of look more like tempera or acrylic paint. They're like the same consistency, but have this really cool part of a binder is what it's called, that when you add water to it, it makes those nice smooth watercolors. And I am doing a wet on wet for the first round, so I'm getting my apple nice and wet. If you hear any weird clacking noise, that is my dog. I apologize. Ash is going crazy. And then, so I'm going to you'll see I have two types of the same color. So in one bucket, I have two yellows and, Ash, stop, and two reds and two greens. So one is a warm and one is a cool tone. And warm tones really are awesome to use for when I want to try to highlight an area. And then cool tones are really nice for when I'm trying to do it like more a shaded area. And using both kind of also just gives the apple a little more variety. Variety is the spice of life, kids. Add some to your paintings. Covering the whole wet on wet area with my yellows. I put a yellow down on the base because the longer I looked at the apple, the more I saw at the base of underneath all that red and some of the green was a yellow tone. So I actually laid down yellow first. And I also accidentally forgot to not paint over the stem. So if you're gonna paint or draw an apple, don't forget the stem. You'll see later on that I'm like, oh no. And I think the part that I don't like the most about this piece at the end is the stem part. This is where I kind of lost it as I painted over it. Whoops. I guess that's why we practice. So I had to let it dry, and I was still a little impatient. So even coming in right now, you can tell the red is immediately blending with the yellows because Ms. Richmond forgot you kind of have to sometimes really let things fully dry with watercolors if you want to come in with a new layer. So things got a little weird here, but I think I save it later on. So right now I'm dipping into that warmer cadmium red is what it's called. And I'm going in where the areas of red that I want to come a little bit closer to the viewer. So I'm using that warm red, going over all the yellow, mixing kind of to make an orange, which again, when I look close at this apple, there is like parts of it that have that weird overlay of the red and yellow, and trying to really capture that with my brush strokes. I was also finding that this paper was, I think I was getting too wet, so it would pool in weird ways. And you can kind of see that, and there's some like these weird blotchy parts. I think it was too much water in my brush. So now I'm gonna mix, let it dry a little bit more. Actually reminded myself, let it fully dry. Come on, Ms.R. And so I'm actually mixing a little bit of the green for the stem. So I'm mixing some of this warmer green and a little bit of the cool green with a little bit of the yellow, and I'm trying to make the stem. But once I've laid it down, you'll see the green actually starts to spread a little bit at parts, because again, I just didn't let it fully dry. Come on. So you'll see right where it's really dry, the green is laying down as like a nice thick green, where it was really wet and where Miss Richmond kind of painted over the stem with yellow. It's now mixing and being weird, and I just kept trying to fix it instead of letting it just stop and do its thing and fix it later. Just made it worse. Back in with, I think I finally let everything dry. We'll find out. I'm going in with just more red. So I'm doing a watercolor technique where you just layer and layer to get your tones darker. And it's a technique that a lot of watercolorists use, which is start in your lighter areas, move to the darker areas. And the less water I put in the paint, the more vibrant the color is. So it looks like I'm adding a darker color red, but it's the same red I've been using this whole time. You'll see when I go in with that smaller brush, that brush actually has just a little bit of water on it, and I'm trying to spread or like kind of blend the layer that it's on top of with the layer I'm putting on. So I'm actually kind of like thinning out the new layer I'm putting on, and it blends in a way to give it more of a gradual shift from that first layer to the new layer I'm putting on. Constantly going back to the apple to really see where the red needs to go and where am I going to need to leave some yellow bit or yellow popping through. Kind of like how the layers look. It makes me think of like one of those really cool mountain landscapes where the closer mountains are really dark and the farther away mountains look light. I don't know, I just thought about that when I looked at this apple. Trying to keep the form of the apple to look more round so that I'm not having any up and down lines. I'm trying to have any brush strokes that are being seen more of like curve shapes. So for this video, Ms.R is really just kind of talking over the video that I recorded when I made this apple. So I might just start rambling at times, but I figured that's the part of Miss Richmond you might really want to see right now, is those days where she just rambles because she has so much energy and is so excited about what she's doing. So if it doesn't make sense, let me know, and I'll try to make any sort of clarifying things in my next video I upload. Okay, so you see, I'm trying to fix this stem. I just cannot stand how it looks. I didn't let it dry. I didn't let it dry fully, and my impatience has made it weird and not what I'm looking for. So I'm trying to add a brown to separate the stem from the green that's like on the inside part of that apple part. And again, so the stem's not dry, and I'm trying to add brown and it's blending together and it's getting muddy, and I just keep working it to try to fix it, And I finally just go, okay, I gotta stop. I just gotta stop because look, it's just not working. So I went and worked on another part of the apple, and I dipped into the cool tone red to add towards the edges of the apple and the parts that are like a real deep red. And you can see, look, I start picking up and moving around because there's so much water on the paper. I was trying to move it away because there's like this little ripple between the dark red part and the yellow part. It was weird. See, like I try to fix it. It just keeps puddling there, so I'm trying to pick up some of the water. Just trying to work with what I got, but also not lose that really nice yellow area. It was slightly getting frustrated, but also like it was reminding me of the first time I used watercolors and like, oh, right. Oh, and so like all these memories of like, this is how you work the paintbrush, Ms.R. Durr. So sometimes you just need to go back to the basics to really remember what to do with watercolors or even just any type of artwork. Again, oh my gosh, leave the stem alone. It's not working. Let it dry, Ms.R. Come on, just put it down. Stop. Just work in the areas that you know you can do. Or at least work on right now. You can't work that area. It's too wet. So I think I'm adding more red here because I keep looking at the apple and I know that's supposed to be a darker, like not a darker red, but a deeper red in the sense of it's a little more vibrant of not that warm orange color, but like a deep, I mean, like it's an apple red, a deep apple red. Okay, I think I finally let it dry enough that I can actually add layers to the stem, but I'm first gonna work in the, make like a really nice dark, deep red to put in the deeper areas of that apple. When I say that deep means, yes, we say it deep, and I really actually don't really fully remember why we call it. It's not because it's darker. I think there's more color in the, like pigment wise or in the paint or even on my brush. There's more paint on there, so it's a deeper color. It's not just water. And then I looked at my apple and remembered there's supposed to be what's called a highlight there. So it should be lighter, and I'm just going in with my nice deep red, and I'm like, oops, that's supposed to have a little bit of white there. Again, reasons why artists are practicing for, oh, sorry, that was the dog. Hold on. Ash, stop. Okay, I'm back. So I was saying, even artists who have been practicing art for so many years still need to come back to these types of exercises in like still lifes or just color practices, or I don't know, any sort of practice really, just to get their skills back up to where they should be. And again, sorry, that's my dog. He's very noisy tonight. I really like this. Not the stem part. The stem part's driving me nuts. So, especially when I'm painting, you can tell I'm focusing more on the apple part because I'm really into what's happening in the apple, but that stem part was driving me nuts when I was making this. And I apologize that Ms.R does this thing when she gets really into art. Her face gets closer and closer to her paper. So yeah, that's my forehead and the top of my head. I hope you enjoy seeing it. I think at some point I remember when I was doing this, oh, my head needs to not be in the camera. I'll get better at it. I haven't made a video in a while, so just give me some time. See, see, I think I'm making, yeah, this was when I was trying to make a brown to really just make that stem something. You can even tell right now. See, I think you'll know my least favorite part of this painting today is this stem area. Makes me want to really take a moment and practice painting stems tomorrow. Who knows? We'll see what happens. I found it when I was doing this stem actually, because I wasn't enjoying it while looking at my paper. I started to take what my professor used to say was artistic liberty, and when you looked at the painting, if it didn't make sense, you had to kind of tweak it just slightly from the still life just to make it seem more real. And I think I was starting to do that. I was like looking, but then I at some point stopped looking at the apple when it came to the stem part. And I think that was one of the things that really bothered me, that I wasn't really looking to see that area at all. The parts that I most liked the most are those deeper colors. Oh look, I'm starting to add more browns. So that's a golden ochre, I think it was, and I'm adding a little bit of burnt sienna. So those are two types of browns, because I couldn't make my own browns with the colors I already had. So I was like, okay, I just need a good brown from the tube. And so here I am trying to mix up a bunch of different colors, and then I'm looking and it's too warm, so I need to make it cool, so I'm adding the cool red. It was just trying really hard to figure out something that would work for this apple in this stem. I don't think I remember to mention, I fast forward, like I made the speed of my video faster than how I actually paint in real life. So don't think I have this like amazing capability to paint super duper fast. This took me almost all day to paint. One last attempt to make this stem work. I'm trying real hard. It's still not where I'd like it, but I'm trying real hard. All right, so here, let me straighten up, zoom in. Look at, this is the final apple. Let's see, let's wait and see what it looks like when it's dried. All right, so here it is, all dried, ready to go, and not bad for my first time with watercolors still life in a real long time. I have some things I'm really proud of, and some things I need to definitely work on. So let's look at next to the original apple. Yep, there it is. I think the colors are really, really close. The shape, I actually don't really mind that the shape doesn't look exactly like the picture, because I was drawing it from life. The apple was right in front of me, so I saw it slightly different from this picture, but I do think the colors are pretty good. That stem though, whew, that is definitely something I need to practice and just even practice just patience, let my watercolors dry. But yeah, so leave a comment, see what you think about it, or what's something that you would want to try next. And hopefully I'll have a video up sooner rather than later. Keep making art. Miss you all. Bye.